A very good evening to all my dear students. How are you all? I hope you all are studying hard and you all are studying smartly also. So we are here for chapter number 11 of your paper number 5, which is auditing and ethics. And the chapter name is ethics and terms of audit engagement. My dear students, so far you have studied the 10 chapters of this paper. And by so far, students, you must have obtained understanding of audit, what is audit, the concept of audit, the nature, scope, about audit evidence, audit procedures, audit of items of financial statements, right? Then audit of banks, audit documentation, right? All these are very important so far as understanding the concept of audit is concerned. Now comes another important chapter, which is chapter number 11. And as I've told you, it is ethics and terms of audit engagement. Okay? So students just try to understand that in this world, no activity can be considered without ethics, right? Now, first of all, tell me what is meant by term ethics. I can see Nisi has joined, Shamli has joined, Archana has joined, Sharmila has joined, Pooja, Nitya, Devraj. A very good evening to all my dear students. My first question for today's session to all of you is, tell me what is meant by the term ethics. So if you are going to read any chapter or if you're going to, study any chapter, first of all, try to understand what is the meaning of the name of the chapter and why we are going to study that. Tell me what is meant by the term ethics. I'll just have a look at your replies. Shamili, Devraj, Sharmila, Nisi, Nitya, please reply. Archana, please reply. What is meant by the term ethics? So I'm waiting for your replies. Meanwhile, I'll share my screen with you. So just a minute. I received a reply. Moral of person behavior. Archana is saying. What else? What else? Students, please reply. So students, when we are studying this chapter, ethics and terms of audit engagement, how we are going to study it? First of all, we will understand the concepts relating to ethics, and then we will do the standards on auditing relating to terms of audit engagement, right? Now, if you just look at the dictionary meaning of the term ethics, it basically means the moral principles that governs a person's behavior. Moral principles that governs a person's behavior. So basically, ethics or moral principles, it means the study of what is right or what is wrong. Should a student cheat? Yes or no? What is right? What is wrong? Whether it is ethically correct or not, right? Same way, whether we should hurt someone ethically, whether it is correct or not. So basically the principles that governs a person's behavior, right? Now, students, why are we discussing ethics with respect to auditing and ethics? So if you just look at the name of your paper, it is what? Auditing and ethics. So very important concept, ethics in auditing. See, why is audit conducted? Or when an audit is conducted, it increases what? The quality of the financial statement, which in turn enhances what? The confidence of the users of the financial statement. And who all are the users of the financial statement? It can be investors, it can be bankers, debtors, creditors, lenders. The list is long, right? So just try to understand that if all these users of financial statement, they are aware that certain ethics, certain moral principles are there governing the profession of auditing, governing the profession of a chartered accountant, their confidence, their trust in the services of the chartered accountant or the auditor is going to increase, right? And it is based on this trust only, which is based on the ethics that we as chartered accountant, we as auditors, we follow, that there is respect of this profession in the society, right? And sorry, and basically students, see, there are certain rules that you should do this, you should abide by this, you should not do this. Same way, there are certain principles in for a chartered accountant also. Now, whether he does it or not, it is the question of the personal character. So whether the ethics, the moral principles are followed by any professional accountant. When I say professional accountant, it includes a chartered accountant in practice or in service, right? So it basically depends upon his state of mind, whether he wants to follow ethics or not. Simply when we say that such and such rule has been mentioned, it is not a guarantee that the ethics will be followed, right? It all depends upon the character, the personal character of the individual who is following that profession, right? And ethics are not only in the chartered accountancy course. Give me example where you see the ethics. Give me certain profession name, profession like name of the professions where you think that ethics are followed. I'm waiting for your replies. Quickly send in your reply. Quickly send in your replies. So Nitya has said ethics is morality. He has written. Divya has written, and Godly Anil has written. Anu Sagar has written that ethics are followed in the profession of a doctor. Absolutely correct. Same way, Arun Sagar has written that ethics are followed in the profession of a policeman. Absolutely correct. Lawyer Divya is written. Absolutely correct. So students, ethics are followed everywhere. How can we exclude auditing as a profession by like from following the ethics? And as I've told you, this is going to enhance the confidence of the users of the financial statement. Why? Because now they know that the chartered accountant who is conducting the audit, he has to abide by certain moral principles, certain code of ethics. Is it clear? Now you may ask that ma'am, what if a chartered accountant is not following or an auditor is not following moral principles? Tell me, you tell me, what are the, the end results if an auditor is not following the moral principles? Various kinds of moral principles we are going to just discuss. Tell me what comes to your mind. So Divya is saying frauds can be there. Absolutely correct. Sagar is there. He can be penalized. So basically, I was asking that what all consequences the professional accountant will have to face if he is not abiding by the ethics, which Arun Sagar has replied correctly that he may have to be face certain penalties, right? Okay. Now, from where does we get this ethics? So, see, ICAI is a member of IFAC. Okay? What is IFAC? International Federation of Accountants, right? And IFAC has a board which is ISBA, International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants, right? So ICAI follows the code of ethics that is given by the ISBA with certain modifications, and from where there we get certain moral principles that are to be followed by professional accountants. So here I'm not saying a chartered accountant in practice only. So professional accountant includes a chartered accountant, be he is in practice or he's in service, right? And why the ethics are to be followed, I hope this is clear to everyone. And the question that we were discussing as to what will be the repercussions if a professional accountant is not following the moral principles. See, fines can be there. Fines can be there. Just a minute. Fines can be there. Suspension of membership can be there. Removal from the membership number membership of the member can be there. And other disciplinary action can be taken by the ICAI. Clear? Is it clear? Now, students, before understanding the various moral principles as are given by the Code of Ethics, let us just try to understand one more thing. There is a concept of principle-based approach and rule-based approach. Tell me which is more flexible by the name principle-based and rule-based. Quickly tell me your replies. I'm waiting for your replies, students. Arun Sagar, correct. The repercussions can be cancellation of the license, correct. Membership, right? Tell me, now my next question, principle-based and rule-based. So this is a concept which you will find whereby you are, as a professional, you are following the moral principles. So see, principle-based approach, it basically means that when you are following any principle or when you are following any, instructions, then go by the intent, the intention, why such principle was made, why such instruction was given. Go by the intention. What does that mean? The professional accountant, when he is following a principle-based approach in understanding any of the instruction, he can apply his professional judgment in every situation. He'll apply his knowledge, he'll apply his skill, he'll apply his expertise in order to see as to what that instruction wants to say. Right? So let's say there is one principle or there is an instruction, let's say that you cannot accept any hospitality from a client if it results in undue influence. Now, if you follow the rule based, which I haven't discussed yet, but with this example we will discuss. If you follow the rule based, so there it is mentioned that you cannot accept any hospitality from the client, so you will not accept, right? But when you are following the principle based, let's say during the course of audit, you have been offered certain tea and snacks. These are what? A kind of hospitality only that is given. And now you will apply what is the intention of creating this instruction. The intention is that you should not accept any hospitality which may influence your decision making, which may influence your opinion. But merely having tea and snacks may not influence the auditor's opinion. So if the auditor is following principle-based approach, he can apply his professional judgment. And on the other hand, if the auditor is following the rule-based approach, it basically means that strictly he has to follow the instruction that are given. He is not required to apply his professional judgment. And basically the intention of the ethics, the spirit why is ignored. In principle-based approach, you will consider a why. That why such instruction has been given, I'll consider that. I'll apply my professional judgment. And in every situation, I'll conclude by following this method. However, in case of rule-based approach, whatever is mentioned, you are not going to apply your professional judgment as such. That means you are not going to, answer as to why. You just have to follow that rule. You just have to strictly adhere to that rule. Is it clear? So can I say that principle-based approach is a kind of, it can be used in every situation by applying the professional judgment. However, the rule-based approach is rigid. Whatever is mentioned, you have to do that. Clear? Is it clear? Tell me, is this concept of principle-based and the rule-based approach clear? Archana is saying yes. Others also please reply. Shamli is saying yes. That's good. Others also please reply, please. So far what we have studied is, Devraj, you also reply, please. So far we have studied. I started my discussion with explaining the concept of ethics, whereby we have understood that these are moral principles, right? And why are these required? Because once the users know that the auditors have to abide by certain moral principles, their confidence in the financial statement, audited financial statement, is going to increase, right? And then I said that merely by defining them as rules, it is not a guarantee that these will be followed. It is a question of the personal character of the individual, whether he is going to follow that or not. And when a person is going to follow such, instructions or rules, there can be principle-based approach and there can be the rule-based approach. So far we have discussed this much only. Shamli, Balamurunga, Nisi, Insia, Devraj, please reply whether these concepts are clear so far so that we can proceed further. Pooja is saying yes, ma'am. Deepika is saying yes. Family is saying yes. That's good. Insia is saying yes. So now what are the fundamental principles of professional ethics which a chartered accountant in practice or in service, so I'll say a professional accountant, has to follow, right? Now students, see, this chapter is given in your module like this. Okay? So here I like to, stop and tell you that students, see, auditing and ethics, your paper number 5, this is a theory subject, but 100% practical implementation is there with respect to this subject. Because whenever you are going to, conduct the audit in practical life situation, you will see that whatever you have studied, you are doing that only. So let's say chapter number 5, audit of items of financial statement, you will see that in actual practical life situation, you are going to follow the same methods, you are going to check the same documents as are mentioned there. Audit documentation, you're going to prepare in the same format. In this chapter, we are going to study the terms of audit engagement. You will see that same thing is followed, right? But student, this is also true that you are going to get marks for what you are going to write in your exam. And this paper requires good, use of good language. So I'll request you all that as and when you'll go through this chapter and any other chapter also, just keep on highlighting the keywords. I'm not saying that you have to cram the keywords. Just understand and understand using the keywords only. Then the keywords will get imbibed in your mind and no extra efforts will be required, right? So, for example, for ethics, just a minute. For ethics, moral principle, the word moral principle, it is a keyword here, right? So you should write it. And by sharing these notes, I just want to, tell you that this is the method whereby you can make your notes. So here I have written just the keywords that ethics means what? Moral principles, which governs the person's behavior. Why is there a need for professional ethics? Now I have the pointers in front of me. The same is given as paragraph in your books and maybe in points also, but I have picked up the keywords. So this way you can make your summaries, right? Why I'm discussing this? Because many a times I get queries from the student that, ma'am, how to, learn and how to prepare notes for quick revision at a time of exam. So this is the way you can do if you are comfortable. Otherwise, you can follow your own way. But the end point is you should be able to understand and learn the keywords. Your understanding should be thorough and your writing of the keyword should be there. Devraj is asking the meaning of ethics. So I've told you that ethics basically means the moral principles that governs the person's behavior, or in simple language, Devraj, it will mean a study of what is right or what is wrong. ठीक है. So let's say now let me connect this with one of the ethical principles that a professional accountant should follow. So whether an auditor, whether he should discuss the information of the client with any third party. Quickly send me the replies. Whether the auditor should share the information that is he has obtained from the client out of the business relationship to third party. So Divya is saying no. Balam is saying no. Deepika is saying no. Shyam Sundar, please check your answer. So I'll repeat my question. Whether an auditor, if he has obtained certain information from the client for conducting the audit out of the, professional relationships, should he share such information with any third party without the consent of the client? Sham Sundar is saying no now. Shamni is saying no. So you are yourself able to, give the answers whether it is ethically correct or not. So it is not correct, right? So it becomes one of the moral principles or the fundamental principles that the professional accountant should follow. So let me just take you through that slide. So Kuldeep is saying no, client information should not be shared. Adil is saying no. Anil is saying no. Vinod is saying no. Absolutely correct. So what are the various fundamental principles? Just a minute. So there are 5 fundamental principles, and from where these have come, I have told you that ICAI is a member of IFAC, the International Federation of Accountants, and IFAC has a board, ISBA, that is International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants. They have certain code of ethics which have been, followed by ICAI also with maybe certain modification. So the fundamental principles of professional ethics, these are basically the standard behavior that is expected out of a professional accountant. So when I say professional accountant, it applies to a CA in practice or in service, right? So these are what standard of behavior which is expected out of professional accountant. So we have discussed the example of sharing the information. So let's say an auditor is not expected to share the confidential information of the client with any third party. So what is expected out of the behavior of a professional accountant? We are going to discuss that. So there are 5 fundamental principles, and students, these are really very, very important. And in fact, I forgot to tell you that the weightage of this chapter is 8 to 10%. So very important. There is no way that you can leave this chapter and go for your exams. 100% coverage should be there, and this chapter is, having the weightage of 8 to 10%. So what are the 5 fundamental principles? These are integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and just a minute, and professional behavior. Okay, we are going to discuss these one by one. Now my next question to you, tell me what is meant by the term integrity. What is meant by the term integrity? I hope students, you all are clear why we are studying this topic of ethics. Why is it required? Divya is saying integrity means honest. Shamli is also saying honest. Absolutely correct. Pooja is saying honest. What else? Devraj, please reply. And who all are there? Let me just see. Deepika is saying being honest. Balam is saying consistency between values, words, and actions. Truthful. Adil is saying. Who else? Fair manner. Anil is saying. And Nitya is saying. Correct. Deepika is saying having strong moral values. See, if you look at the dictionary meaning of the term integrity, it basically means that you are straightforward and honest. You are straightforward and honest, right? So basically, it means that when any professional accountant, so the term used here is what? Professional accountant. Why? Because we are talking about the auditor, whether he is in practice or is in service, or whether he is doing, audit or any work. So professional accountant, a chartered accountant who is doing any work, practice or service, or he's conducting the audit. So he should have integrity. That is, he should be straightforward and honest. And now, student, when I was discussing about you, about the discussing with you about the keywords. So if I am the paper checker and I am checking a question with respect to integrity of the professional accountant, two words that I'll definitely look for is what? Straightforward and honest. So this is the way. So as such, if you'll see, these are not technical words, but this is what the appropriate language that should be there in any professional exam, like in this professional exam, right? So straightforward and honest, right? So a professional accountant, he should be straightforward and honest in his professional and business relationship. So whatever activities he is doing professionally or as a business relationship, there he should be straightforward and honest. Okay, which implies that there should be fair dealing and truthfulness, right? So let's say there is an auditor, CAA, and he is conducting the audit of a company XYZ Limited. And he is aware that the financial statement of XYZ Limited are not correct. They have certain information which is based on, or certain fraud has been committed, which has been, where the attempts have been made to, manipulate the financial statement. He's aware of this fact. Now, this fundamental principle of integrity says that CA, you are aware that these set of financial statement of XYZ Limited, these are not correct. So you should not associate yourself with such reports, right? So professional accountant shall not knowingly be associated with any reports, communication, which he believes that such information contain what? Any information, such financial statements or such reports contain any information which are what? Materially false, or which has certain misleading information. Okay? Or if he's aware that information that is given in those financial statements are what? Negligently given, or it omits or obscures the required information. What is meant by the term obscures? It means it hides the relevant information, or it omits the relevant information. For example, let's say there is a company XYZ Limited, and the company is, importing all its raw material from Korea, right? And there has been a ban by the government with respect to all the imports by Korea. And since Korea was the sole supplier of that raw material, now there is, a doubt with respect to the going concern of this company. But this fact has not been shown in the notes to accounts of the company. And the auditor is aware that such and such situation is there, and is also aware that this fact is omitted from the financial statement, and the auditor knows that such disclosure is required by the accounting standards. Now, in such a situation, he should follow integrity, he should be honest, and he should not, sign such financial statements. So when we say he should not be associated with such reports or communications or other information, we are basically saying that he should not sign such report. He should not authenticate such reports. Why? Because once he signs that report, the users of the financial statement that we discussed at the very beginning, the investors, the bankers, creditors, debtors, they are going to rely more on such financial statements. Why? Because they are not just the financial statement, they are the audited financial statement, right? So that is why one of the most important fundamental principles that an auditor should follow is that of integrity. Is it clear? Is it clear? Let me just have a look at your replies. See, Anurag is saying, ma'am, if the information that is misleading is immaterial. See, the word that I have mentioned here, Anurag, is what, and other students also, it says materially false. Now, whether it is material or not, you all must have done essay 320. And also the auditor will apply his professional judgment in order to see whether it is material or not. And you all are aware that we as auditors, we are concerned with what material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, right? So based on his professional judgment, whether if it is not material, then the auditor may ignore it. But if it is material, the auditor should, follow integrity, and he should not get associated with such financial statements or reports. Clear? Arun Sagar, is it clear? I think I pronounced your name incorrectly. Arun Sagar, is it clear? Others also please reply. Arun Sagar is saying it is clear. Nitya is saying clear. And Nitya say, just a minute. Archana is saying clear. Okay. So I hope integrity is clear. If you get any, see, how will you get a question on this? So you may be given any situation that in so and so situation, the auditor was aware that such was the, a material misstatement in the financial statement. And knowingly, he signed those audit report, or he signed those financial statements, the audit report of those financial statement. So what fundamental principle is not there? So it will be what? Your integrity. And you may be required to, explain the concept of integrity. And I'm repeating it again. And the paper checker will be looking for keywords. And from where will you get the keywords? Your module only, like fair dealing, truthfulness, straightforward, being honest, not knowingly associated with reports which he believes. And he may, what word has been used here throughout the topic? Professional accountant. That the information is materially false or misleading, or provided negligently, or it omits or obscures any information that makes it what? Misleading. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay, so this was about integrity. The next one is objectivity. Now, without looking at the screen, tell me what is meant by the term objectivity. Let me just have a look at your replies. Objectivity. Objectivity, students, I'm waiting for your replies. Objective. So I can see Divya has written auditor's opinion. See, Anil is saying that, ma'am, the auditors can easily skip these principles, right? Let me just explain this. Anil, I'll come back to your question. First, let me just explain and see your replies for objectivity. So, Balam is saying external influence. Adil is saying he is not taking bribe. Deepika is saying he is not biased. Shamli is saying he is not biased. Absolutely correct. So, now the next topic is objectivity. So basically, it means that the auditor, when he's giving his opinion, it should be objective. That is, he should be objective when he is giving the opinion. Now, what is meant by that? See, when the auditor is, making the conclusions with respect to the opinion, he's applying his professional judgment. The auditor is applying his professional judgment, in fact, throughout the course of audit, right? So when he's applying the professional judgment, he should not compromise with his professional judgment because of some biasness, because of some conflict of interest, or any undue influence. So let's say the auditor is conducting the audit of ABC company whereby his wife is in a senior position, right? Now, there may be undue influence on CAA. In his professional judgment, the financial statements may be not representing the true and fair view. But since it is influenced by any undue influence, so he may give an opinion that the financial statement reflect a true and fair view. Or conflict of interest. Let's say the auditor, he has some direct financial interest in the company, and his financial interest, let's say he has certain shares of the company, though it is not allowed because it will lead to a self-interest threat, right? But just for an example, so now in such a situation, there will be conflict of interest, and though his professional judgment says that the financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view, but since he himself is interested in the finances of that company because he is, let's say, a major shareholder, he is not in a position to give an opinion which is objective, which is uninfluenced, right? So objectivity as one of the fundamental principles requires that the auditor should not compromise his professional judgment because of any biasness, any conflict of interest, or undue influence, right? And if any circumstance is there which may lead to, conflict of interest or biasness or undue influence, he should not undertake such an activity. If the auditor is aware that his wife is there in a senior position with that client company, he should not accept that audit assignment. As simple as that. Okay? Objective means your professional judgment should not be influenced based on any biasness or conflict of interest, right? Is it clear? Let me just have a look at your replies. Divya Singh, clear? So biasness means that you are favoring someone. There is one doubt of a student. Biasness means you are favoring someone, right? So let's say the wife of CA is there, and she has signed the financial statement, let's say. So biasness will be there. Maybe the financial statement do not reflect true and fair view, but he'll say that the financial statement reflected true and fair view because he is going to favor her, right? So is it clear? So we have done the two, fundamental principles. One is what? Your integrity, and second is objectivity. Third is professional competence and due care. Before that, there was one doubt of a student who said that, ma'am, these can easily be skipped. This was the, I think, phrase that was used by that student. See, I've told you, these are the code of ethics that are to be followed by any chartered accountant who is the member of ICAI. And if any complaint is there, if any, such thing is not followed, then there are repercussions like we have studied. I'll just show you the concerned page. Just a minute. So, see, we have seen that there can be fines. There can be suspension of membership. There can be removal from the register of the members, right? And other disciplinary actions can also be taken. What kind of actions can be taken? What all results will be there? These are in detail in your paper number 3, in your finals, right? So you are going to study it there. Is it clear? The student who was having this doubt, let me just have a look. Who was that student? So, Anil, is it clear? Clear. Anil is saying clear. That's good. So now we are studying the third fundamental principle, which was professional competence and due care. Tell me what is meant by professional competence. This is very simple. So what are these? These are basically the standard behavior that are expected out of a professional accountant, that whenever they are doing their work, there should be integrity on their part. There should be objectivity. And the third one is there should be professional competence and due care. Quickly, I need answers. Devraj, please reply. And who else? Shamli, Nisi, Balam, Insia, Divya. So, Shamli is saying professional knowledge and skills, correct. Divya is saying having good knowledge of accounting, correct. Kuldeep is saying requiring the skill sets, required skill sets, knowledge and apply them, absolutely correct. Who else? Others also, Sham Sundar, Anil, please reply. Devraj, please reply. Professional competence, performing duties effectively, Archana is saying. Who else? Right skill and education, Ballam is saying. Who else? Arun Sagar is saying applicability. Having knowledge about subject and do you care about it? Mustafa is saying professional skill applied. Vinod is saying absolutely correct. So this is an easy point which says what? Professional competence and due care. So let's say any standard on auditing is to be followed. Let's say SA 501 is to be applied when you are, obtaining audit evidence with respect to inventory. Now, this fundamental principle says that wherever any technical or professional standards or any, rules, regulations are to be followed, the professional accountant should follow that, right? So, and this is expected out of the professional accountant, that when he's conducting the audit, first of all, when he's going to conduct an audit or when he's going to do any work, first of all, he'll attain and maintain that professional knowledge and skill. What is meant by attain and maintain? So basically, he's going to, obtain the knowledge as to what, let's say, he's going to conduct the audit of any company based in UK. So he'll obtain an understanding of the applicable financial reporting framework, which is applicable to that company, right? And he'll maintain, that means he'll be updated on that. He'll keep on updating himself with respect to the professional knowledge and the skill that is required, right? Why? Because ultimately the purpose is that the client should receive the, good service, good professional service, right? So whatever technical and professional standards are required, he shall first attain the knowledge of that, and then he shall maintain the knowledge of that, right? And when we say due care, the word that is used in a module is what? Diligence. What is meant by the term diligence? It basically means, students, that you are doing any work with utmost carefulness. That is, you are acting carefully, you are acting thoroughly, and on the timely basis as per the requirement of any assignment. So, due care, it is explained as what? The auditor is act in a diligent manner. And what is meant by diligent manner? That he should act carefully, thoroughly, and on timely basis as per the requirements of the assignment. So let's say when the terms of audit engagement was signed, that is when the agreement was signed between the auditor and the client organization, it was agreed that the auditor will be providing a draft report to the, let's say, on let's say half yearly basis. He'll be giving the status of the work that has been done so far to the management. Now this is the requirement as per the assignment, and that should be done on timely basis. This is expected. This is a professional behavior that is expected out of a professional accountant. Okay. So what three things we have done? We have done integrity, objectivity, and the third one is professional competence and due care. And dear students, professional competence and due care, it makes one fundamental principle, right? So when it comes to writing, don't just write professional competence plus due care, which is to act diligently, which means to act carefully, thoroughly, and on timely basis. Is it clear? Now the fourth one, which is confidentiality. Tell me what is meant by the term confidentiality. And in fact, when we started discussing this, I gave you example of, in fact, I asked you one question based on confidentiality. So basically, confidentiality as one of the fundamental principles, it requires the professional accountant, you know, to keep the information that he has obtained as a result of business of professional relationship with the client confidential. It should not happen that the auditor is sharing the information, the confidential information of the client, let's say with the competitors of the client, or let's say with any of the banker who is a friend of the auditor. This should not happen. Why? Because this is a fundamental principle which is given by the code of ethics that the professional accountant should follow. And why is confidentiality required? See, whenever we go to a doctor, we always say that to the doctor, you should tell each and everything. Same way, see, when the, let's say the client, right? When the client has a trust on the chartered accountant or on the professional accountant that he's not going to, give his confidential information to any XYZ, the client is going to discuss the information with the auditor with utmost confidence. He'll be having certain confidence that yes, this information will not be leaked, will not be shared with anyone, right? So this is required in public interest. Why? Because if such kind of fundamental principle is there and let's say the clients are aware that yes, the auditor is required to, maintain the confidentiality as is required by their professional body, their confidence in sharing the information with the chartered accountant is going to increase, right? Is it clear? So, but there are three exceptions that in certain cases, the information of the client may be disclosed. Okay? So let's say XYZ is the company and CAA is conducting the audit of XYZ company, right? For the last 5 years. Now, let's say there has been certain fraud which has been, now been investigated by SEBI. And SEBI requires the chartered accountant to disclose certain information, right? So in such a case, like this can be one example. So there are three situations whereby the information with respect to the client may be required to be disclosed by the professional accountant. First is what? When it is required by law. If the law requires that such information is to be given, the auditor will have to give that information. Second, it is permitted by law and it is authorized by the client. Here, authorization as such is not required. Why? Because it is required by law. In the second case, if it is permitted to be given and the client has also authorized, auditor will disclose that information. And last not but the least, when there is a professional duty or the right of the auditor to disclose such information and the same is not prohibited by law, right? So let's say, I'll give you example of the third point, professional duty or right to disclose. So let's say certain litigations are there whereby the certain search and seizures are be there with respect to the client organization. And the tax authorities have asked for the information from the auditor. Now, out of his professional duty, he will have to give the information provided it is not prohibited by law. Is it clear? Is it clear? So in these three cases, the information of the client may be disclosed. That is, whenever it is required by law. I gave example of SEBI. When it is not, when it is permitted by law and authorized by client, and when there is a professional duty or right of the auditor to disclose, and the same is not prohibited by law. In such situations, the auditor may, disclose the information with respect to the client organization, and it will not be said that he is not following the confidentiality fundamental principle that he is required to do. Is it clear? Let me just have a look at your queries, if any, and then we'll be discussing the fifth one. Divya is saying clear. Anil is saying secrecy, correct. Pooja is saying clear. Who else? Please reply. Are the 4 fundamental principles clear? So what are the 4 fundamental principles we have studied so far? Objectivity, integrity, professional competence and due care, and confidentiality. And last but not the least is what? Professional behavior. Okay. Now what is meant by that? Quickly tell me. So just tell me, what do you understand by the term professional behavior? And the context why we are studying now is clear to all of you, that we are basically understanding that what is the standard behavior that is expected out of a professional accountant. Tell me what is meant by the term professional behavior. I'm waiting for your replies. So who has answered? Archana is saying clear. Okay. Please reply what is meant by. So Balam is saying complying with rules and regulations. Who else? Behavior with client, Divya, correct. Following the rules. Deepika is saying, Shamli is saying according to laws and regulations. See, I'll just give you an example. Let's say 2 CAs are there, CAA and CAB. Let's say CAA is, talking bad things about CAB publicly. Is it a professional behavior? No. So any behavior that brings discredit to the profession. In the example that I've just given you, let's say he is using wrong language for another chartered accountant. So the public around may say that, see, he's a chartered accountant and he's talking like this. It may bring discredit to the profession, right? So professional behavior means, let's say, take another example. He is conducting the audit of any company and he's required to give the opinion, and at the end, let's say everything is absolutely correct, but let's say he's fighting on the fees and he's not giving the audit report to the client, right? So I'm saying that everything is, in lines. I'm not saying that there is some problem in conducting the audit or anything like that. Let's say he's just fighting on the fees and he's not giving the audit report. So is it correct? So professional behavior, anything which brings discredit to the profession of the chartered accountant, he should avoid that behavior. He should comply with the laws and regulations. See, you are conducting the audit of a company and you are not aware about the applicable financial reporting framework. You are not having the team who can handle such a big audit. So is it professional behavior? Answer is no. Right? So he should not knowingly engage in any occupation activity, which may have impact on his integrity, objectivity, right? And which may, bring discredit to the profession. Clear? Is it clear? So if you just see, it means that the professional accountant should comply with the relevant laws and regulations. He should avoid any conduct which he knows, or he should know that it is going to bring discredit to the profession. He should not knowingly engage in any engagement, occupation, and activity that will impair means that will have a negative impact on his integrity, objectivity, or the good reputation of the professional accountant. Okay? So knowingly he should not do that, right? Is it clear? So let's say any chartered accountant, he is, conducting the audit of any company and he is involved in insider trading also. So this is going to bring a bad name, a discredit to himself and to the profession, right? So he should not do that. So I hope the 5 fundamental principles that the professional accountant must follow, that is integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior is clear to everyone? I'm waiting for all of you to please, send in your queries. Anil, whatever is your query, please send in the chat box. Send in your reply, students, in case you have any query. So I'll just repeat it quickly. That so far, like we started discussing the meaning of the term ethics, which is moral principles governing the behavior, person's behavior. Then we have understood the need for professional ethics in the chartered accountant profession. Then we have understood what principle-based and rule-based approach, and then we have studied these 5 fundamental principles, which is integrity, objectivity, professional competence, UCAR, in confidentiality, and professional behavior. I hope you all are clear. So I can see Kuldeep, is it your reply or a query? Please tell me. Adil is saying the professional accountant should follow the rules, not the feelings. Absolutely correct. Balam is saying it is clear. Shamli is saying clear. Is it clear, everyone? So let us do one thing. We will just discuss one or two MCQ relating to this. So Divya, see, Divya is saying, ma'am, any, what exactly is she writing? Let me just, ma'am, any short to remember. See, again, students, I like to tell you that this auditing and ethics subject, students do come to me and they say that, ma'am, we have understood the topic. We have very well learned the topic. But in the exam, when it comes to writing, we fall short of words. Okay? So I know this is not related to your chapter number 11, but yes, this is a very important discussion. And there, I can see there are 2 or 3 queries relating to this. So they say they fall short of words, right? But the understanding is clear, right? So students, see, my request to all of you is, once you have understood the concept, just go through your module once in entirety. When I say in entirety, I mean that you need to read line by line. You need to read all the questions, the illustrations, the test your understanding, test your knowledge, everything, right? So one detailed reading of your module is absolutely required. Then when you're reading it second time, let's say today we are able to complete 11, 12 pages. Hardly 15 minutes it is going to take to read these 11, 12 pages. Then just give next 15 minutes and just highlight the keywords. And those who have a practice of, making notes the way I have made, or whatever flowcharts, whatever is comfortable to you, just do that. Another 30 minutes. So 15 minutes for first reading and 30 minutes for highlighting or the next reading. And now, since you have understood, and you will see that when I'm explaining any topic to you, I'm not using any synonyms. I'm using the keywords that are given in your module. You will see that after the second reading, when you have highlighted the keywords will automatically get imbibed in your mind, and there'll be no requirement, to give extra efforts to learn those words. But yes, understanding the lectures attentively, you're like listening to these sessions attentively after these sessions, immediate reading to this chapter, whatever pages we have covered, and the second reading where you will be highlighting the keywords or making the notes. So this way, I'm sure you are able to, learn. And yes, like for the audit procedures, I say that the mnemonic that you may use is ICAI ORR. I is for inspection, C for, external confirmation, A for analytical procedures, I again for inquiry, O for observation, R for reperformance, and then recalculation. So such things are always there. But when you just, go through the module word by word at the first reading, and then the second reading when you highlight, I'm sure that the keywords you will be able to, learn with less efforts. So whose query was this? Divya, is it clear? Shortcuts wherever they will be possible. See, for shortcut, you can always refer to the saransh that is given. That beautifully summarizes your, auditing and ethics syllabus or other subjects also. But yes, one understanding by reading the module in entirety is definitely required. Once or twice, you will have to go through the module, and then you can make your short notes, or you can refer to the saransh or maybe some other materials that are available, right? And saransh is available on your BOS knowledge portal. Is it clear, Division? So Anil is saying, how will the ICAI know that the CA has done something wrong? See, there are peer reviews. There are, other requirements that are to be done by the CA firms that you are going to study in your finals. And there you will see that there are disciplinary committees, there are boards whereby if any CA, if any audit firm has done something wrong, then disciplinary actions will be taken. And as we have studied, that it may range from removing the name or, fines or a suspension. So such all things will be there, right? And peer review is that one CA firm is conducting the review of the work of the other CA firm. So there are certain mechanisms that are been implemented by ICAI by which such things can be, seen. Is it clear, Anil? Anil, Divya, clear? Archana is saying, ma'am, it's clear. Others also, Anil is saying clear. Chalo, good. Now, I'll do one thing. I'll just share the MCQ. Just give me a moment. So Archana has made a short form COPPI, confidentiality, objectivity. Yes, students, whatever mnemonics you feel comfortable with, you can follow that. But again, for securing an more than 60 marks, or maybe 70, 75, 80 marks, shortcuts can be there. But again, your detailed understanding by going through the module in entirety is definitely required. Shortcuts can be used for learning the keywords, for revising, Hana, but you will be requiring the detailed understanding also. Okay, is it clear? So now just have a look at the screen and just go through the second MCQ. I need answers from all of you. The second MCQ. So it says a CA discloses client confidential data to a friend for business discussion without client's consent. Which principle is violated? Is it confidentiality, objectivity, integrity, professional competence, and due care? Quickly send in your replies. So I can see Archana is saying correct. Kuldeep correct. Adil correct. Balam correct. Divya correct. Shamli correct. Deepika correct. Absolutely correct. Anil correct. Archana correct. Arun correct. So this shows that your understanding is clear. So the second question says a CA discloses client confidential data to a friend for business discussion without client's consent. Which principle is violated? So confidentiality says you should not discuss the confidential information, which is the correct answer A. Objectivity says what? That there should not be any biasness. Your professional judgment should not be influenced by any biasness or undue influence, which is not the case. Integrity means you should be straightforward and honest, which is not the case. Professional competence in due case means you should follow professional standards, technical standards, rules, regulations, and you should act diligently, which is not the case in question number 2. I hope it is clear. Now, just have a look at question number 4. I'm waiting for your replies. Please send in your replies for question number 4. So I can see many of you have replied. Kuldeep. Kuldeep, correct. Anil, correct. Adil, correct. Deepak, correct. Shamli, correct. Pooja, Divya, absolutely correct. Balam, correct. Nitya, correct. Nitya, yes, correct. Absolutely correct. Archana, correct. Okay. So let us discuss this. A CA criticizes another CA publicly without verifying the facts. Which ethical principle is violated? See, objectivity, I'll repeat what all these are so that these things get imbibed in your mind. Objectivity is basically what? The professional judgment should not be influenced by any bias or undue influence, which is not the case. The B part, confidentiality, that the professional accountant should not, share the confidential information of the client with anyone, which is not the case. Now, last is due care, D point, which means the auditor should, the professional accountant should act diligently, that is carefully, thoroughly, timely basis. So, which is not the case. Professional behavior is what? It should not bring discredit to the profession, right? Or the reputation of the professional accountant. But this is the case in the question, that he's criticizing another CA publicly without verifying the facts, right? So see, students, when I was discussing due care, the 4th point, the words that I have used is what? He should act diligently, carefully, thoroughly, on a timely basis. So these are the keywords. This is what is expected out of you, right? So for all those who are saying, ma'am, how to learn the keywords, how to do this or that, see, the point is, first understand the concept. And while you are understanding the concept, the words that are used in a module are not technical as such, but it is a good language. So try to understand in that language only, right? Try to understand in that language only. So if you understand in that language, your efforts in learning those keywords will be less, right? Is it clear? So students, tell me whether the fundamental principles are clear or not, and also go through the 6th question, last question, and then we will take a break. Just go through the 6th question also. Management requests the auditor to omit an adverse remark from report to maintain company reputation. If auditor agrees, he is compromising with what? Integrity, objectivity, confidentiality only, due care only, or professional behavior only. So let me just have a look at the answers that you are giving. So Shamli, correct. Deepika, Nitya, Divya, Pooja, Shyam Sundar, absolutely correct. Who else have? Deepak, correct. Arun Sagar, correct. Balam, correct. Okay, now I'll just explain this again. So management requests the auditor to omit an adverse remark from report to maintain company reputation. Okay? So basically, his opinion was something else, but it has been influenced. And when he's omitting, he's not being honest, right? He's not being straightforward. So integrity and objectivity is the correct answer. That is A. Why? Because integrity means that the auditor is not honest. And in this case, if he agrees, he is not honest. Objectivity means what? That his professional judgment is influenced by undue, let's say, biasness or any undue influence, or he's compromising with the auditor is compromising with his professional judgment due to undue influence or bias or conflict of interest, which is the case if he agrees, right? Again, confidentiality, he should not share, which is not the case. Due care, delete. So with me, tell me what are the keywords if due care comes? Tell me quickly. Due care. I really want that your understanding should be clear and some kind of learning should also be there. So if you have to write something about due care in your CA exam, what are the keywords that you are going to write? Diligently, thoroughly, timely basis, carefully. Absolutely correct. Are these any technical words? No. Right? These are not technical words, but these are the keywords which, are required in any professional exam like this. And Nitya has absolutely, see, she has mentioned all the words diligently, carefully, thoroughly, on timely basis. Nitya, just tell me whether you have put in certain extra efforts to, cram these words, or these automatically got imbibed in your mind. Nitya, please send in your reply. So Nitya is saying, ma'am, automatically. Why? Because she has understood it in these terms only. Right? So students, I'm not saying cram. I'm saying use appropriate language. You can use your own, language also, but that should be appropriate for for a professional exam like a chartered accountancy exam, right? So we have done this topic. Let me just share the other screen. Just a minute. So students, if I just, take you through the module, just see that we have done this ethics, need for professional ethics, the fundamental principles of integrity, objectivity, professional competence, due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. And we have discussed certain MCQs with respect to these, fundamental principles. And most of you were able to give correct answers, for which I'm really very happy because this shows that your understanding is clear. Now, just go through these two questions quickly. Test your understanding one. This is on page number 11.8 of your module. So the first one says that CAP Suryakantam has conducted audit of accounts of an entity for a particular year. ICAI has issued letter to him relating to certain matters concerning audit, right? He didn't even bother to reply to the letter despite reminders. Discuss which fundamental principle governing professional ethics is disregarded by him. And I want all of you to reply. And one more thing, that if you're not able to, find out which is the correct fundamental principles, what you can do is just, consider the 5 fundamental principles and just see whether it is confidentiality. Nahi. If it is not confidentiality, then cross it out. Whether it is, professional competence, you can just see what is the definition of professional competence and see whether it is the case or not. If you're not able to arrive at the correct answer, just keep on canceling the incorrect one, right? So I'm waiting for your replies. Tell me. And I'm sure that you will write it properly. You will write it correctly. Nitya, absolutely correct. Pooja, correct. Divya, correct. Who else? Adil, correct. Balam, correct. Shamli, correct. Anil, correct. Anil, the answer that you have written earlier is correct, not now. So see, it says that the CA has conducted the audit of the entity for which he has been issued certain letters by ICAI, and he didn't even bother to reply to the letters despite the reminders. So tell me, is it something related to integrity, honesty? No. Is it something related to objectivity? That is, his professional judgment is compromised? Answer is no. Is it something related to professional competence in due care? Professional competence is what? Technical standards and professional standards. Is he following? So this is no. Confidentiality, no. Professional behavior, yes. See, he has been given certain letters by the body governing his profession, and he is not bothering even to reply to those letters despite the reminders. So professionally his behavior is not expected. Is this an expected behavior out of a professional accountant? Answer is no. So what is the fundamental principle that has been disregarded is what? Professional behavior. Clear? Is it clear? So most of you have answered this correctly. Second, read the second one. A chartered accountant in practice issued a certificate showing original cost of plant and machinery installed in premises of a client of rupees 9 crores to save some regulatory fees for his client. However, original cost of plant and machinery was 15 crores as per the records of client. Which fundamental principle governing professional ethics is violated in this case? So in this case, what has been done? That the chartered accountant has given certain wrong, certificate in order to save certain fees of the client, right? So which fundamental principle out of integrity, objectivity, professional competence, due care, confidentiality, and your professional behavior? So let me just see your replies. Integrity, absolutely correct. Adil correct, Anil correct, Nitya correct, Sham Sundar correct, Shamli correct, Divya correct. See, why not objectivity? Students' objectivity says that his professional judgment is compromised due to certain undue influence or biasness or conflict of interest. So, as such, this fact is not mentioned that the client has asked him to do so or anything like that. What is mentioned is that he has given a wrong certificate. That means he is not being honest. So, if I'm being asked, to write one fundamental principle, it will be integrity, right? Is it clear? So the answers to your test your understanding are given at the end. Let us just have a look at the answer. So this is the second one. So it says that integrity, so I'm on page number 11.42. It says that integrity, so I hope you all are with me. Integrity requires the professional accountant shall not knowingly be associated with reports or returns or communications where the accountant believes the information contains materially false or misleading statement. So here he believes that the information, he is aware that the cost is, what was the amount? It is not 9 CR, but it is 15 CR, right? So knowingly he is signing that certificate. So it becomes what? Integrity. So the last paragraph says, in the given case, false certificate is knowingly issued showing misstated original cost. Therefore, fundamental principle of integrity is violated. So I hope the students who have mentioned objectivity, it is clear to them. Has the focus been on the statement that the client has asked him to, change his opinion or his professional judgment? Then you might have mentioned what? Objectivity. Is it clear, everyone? Balam is saying now it is clear. So Nitya, let's say he's saying why without management telling him he'll do so. Let's say he has any interest in the client organization, right? He has his financial interest. He is having certain shares, or let's say certain fees issues are there with that respect to that client. So he may do that. So I'm repeating it again. If in the question it would have been mentioned that he was asked by the client to do so, if the focus of the question was on that aspect, can you could have written objectivity. But here what is mentioned that knowingly he is getting associated with any certificate which he knows is incorrect. Okay? Is it clear, everyone? So if you have any query, you can send that. And what we will do is we will just take a break of sharp 10 minutes here. And after the break, we'll be starting a very important topic, which is what independence of auditors, right? So a break of 10 minutes, students. And if you have any queries, you can send that. So students, I hope you all are back after the break. So we have to start with topic uh, independence of auditor. Let me just share the screen. So yes, independence. Now tell me what is meant by the term independence? Independence of auditors. Quickly send in your replies. So basically, students, if you look at the Hindi meaning of the term independence, it means swatantra. And in simple language, independence of auditors means that whatever judgment they are giving, it should not be influenced by the client organization. Or in other words, the judgment of the person should not be subordinate to the wishes or directions of the another person who might have engaged him. What is meant by that? That the auditor, when he's giving an opinion, it should not be, influenced by what the client is saying. Rather, it should be independent without any influence of the client organization. The auditor should be in a position to give his judgment or opinion. And independence is so very, 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 very important in case of the audit engagement. Why? See, the basic purpose of conducting an audit is to increase, to enhance the confidence of the users of the audited financial statement. If the users of the audited financial statement have a confidence that this so and so auditor is independent of the client organization, their confidence automatically increases that yes, the quality of these financial statement is actually good, right? So independence is something which is very important when it comes to any audit engagement. And it basically means that the auditor's judgment is not subordinate to the wishes or directions of another person. That means the auditor is not giving the judgment based on what the client is saying. As simple as that, right? But again, students, independence is required, right? There are certain rules that, let's say, if you are having any shares of the company, you cannot become the auditor of that company. There are certain rules like this. But merely by mentioning the rules, it is not 100% guarantee that independence will be followed. Why? Because independence is something which the auditor needs to follow in his mind first. In his mind, it should be clear to him that yes, I am independent of the client organization. When I'm giving any opinion, my integrity, objectivity will not be compromised. My professional judgment will not be based on what the client is saying. There is nothing to influence my judgment because of the client. It should be clear in his mind. Yes, it is mentioned in the rules, but unless and until the auditor is sure about his independence in his mind, the independence cannot be, guaranteed, right? Also, we will be studying two concepts in independence. One is what? Independence of mind, and the other is independence in appearance. So what I'm doing is I'm just giving you a brief about what all we are going to study in independence topic, and then one by one we will study in the sequence as is given in your module. So independence in appearance, which means that, see, whenever I say in appearance, he looks like this. in appearance, let's say Modi ji is always well dressed up. He is a good example of well dressed up person. So it basically means that to me, he's looking in a certain way. So same way, an auditor should appear independent to a third party. And who is that third party? We will discuss. So Abhi, what we have understood that independence it should be of two types. First is one, there are two perspectives. First is one, independence of mind, which is related to the auditor himself or herself. And the second is independence is in appearance, that is to any third party. And what is that third party? We will discuss. Clear? So these are the topics. Then we are going to discuss the threats to independence. What are the various threats to independence? And then we are going to discuss the safeguards of such threats to independence. Okay? So I've just given you an overview as to what we are going to discuss when we are going to discuss the topic of independence, and it is really very, very important from your examination point of view. Also, like in your practical life situation, you will see that when you become the chartered accountant, when you are conducting the audit as an engagement partner, you will see this independence by yourself. Okay? So students, as I've told you, independence means that a judgment of the person is not subordinate to the wishes or directions of another person who might have engaged him, or to his self-interest. So let's say to his self-interest means, let's say I'm the auditor of XYZ company and I am having certain shares of that company. My self-interest is there in that company. Will my opinion be independent? No, by my self-interest, right? And as it says that as such, you cannot, precisely define independent, because a person may feel independent in one situation, and in the same situation, the other person may not feel that he is independent and he is in a position to give his opinion on his own, right? So basically, it is the condition of mind and of personal character. I told you that it is not necessary that rules are there, then it will be followed. It should be here in the personal character of that professional accountant, right? And there are two interlinked perspective of independence, that is independence of mind and independence in appearance. So when we talk about independence of mind, it basically says that independence of mind, that in your mind, it is the state of your mind that will permit you say, I mean the professional accountant, to give an opinion without being influenced, without being affected by the influences. See, tell me, let's say I have the shares of the company and I have to give an opinion that the financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view. And this is a listed company, and this is going to have an impact on the share price of the company. Will I be independent in such a situation? Will I be in a position to give an opinion without being influenced? Answer is no, because in my mind, that thought that my shares are I am having certain interest in that company in the form of shares, and the value may get down. So this is going to have an impact on my report, on my opinion. So the state of mind should be such that, state of mind of whom? The auditor, who has to give the opinion, that it should permit the auditor to give an opinion without being affected by the influence. There should not be any situation there should not be any situation whereby the auditor has to compromise with his professional judgment, right? And he should be able to act with what? Integrity. Integrity is what? Again, we have already done, just a minute. Integrity is what? Straightforward, honest. Objectivity is what? That your judgment is not been, compromised due to any biasness or conflict of interest. And professional skepticism. So we will be studying about professional skepticism in this chapter, and you might have come across this word in your earlier chapters, but for the understanding of this topic, I'll tell you professional skepticism means that you are alert all the time. If any document has been given by the management to the auditor, he's not just accepting it like that. He's asking questions. He's being alert whether this is correct or not. Why so and so calculation is there? Why such and such rate of depreciation is there? So, or why such depreciation calculation is there? Why such and such useful life is there, right? So professional skepticism means that is being alert. See, if you are being affected, if you are not independent, you will not ask question. So this why should always be there. So whenever professional skepticism comes, this question mark should come to your mind, right? That is, the auditor should question all the time. He should not just blindly, trust any document and anything that has been given by the management, right? So his integrity, objectivity, and professional skepticism should be there. Auditor should be in such a situation, in such a state of mind, that he is able to act with integrity, exercise his objectivity and professional skepticism. Okay, so just an example that, let's say, the same example that I gave you. Let's say I have a pressure on my mind that, see, if I'm going to give this opinion, there will be an impact on the share price and in turn on my portfolio, because I'm having the shares of this company. So I'm not independent. So this is one of the threat to independence. Now I'm trying to connect it to the next topic. This is one of the threat to independence, right? And what can be the safeguard? Before accepting this audit engagement, I can sell off such shares. This becomes the safeguard. Are you able to connect the three topics? Independence, the threats, and then your safeguards. Is it clear? So we have discussed the topic of independence of mind and independence of appearance. What I have told you, that how it is appearing to the third person. So an auditor and professional accountant or an auditor, he should avoid any fact or circumstances that are so significant that it will lead to a third party, a reasonable informed third party, who has information, who has a knowledge of all the relevant information and whatever safeguards have been applied. And the third party, if that situation is giving an impression to the third party that the integrity, objectivity, and professional skepticism of the auditor has been compromised. So I'll repeat it. Independence and appearance means that to any reasonable informed third party, the auditor should also appear to be independent. It should not happen that, looking at the situation, the third party is considering that the objectivity, integrity, and professional skepticism of the auditor is compromised. So how? Let's say the auditor is conducting the audit of the client organization, and the auditor is also supporting, or the auditor is also, acting as an advocate for the client organization, let's say, before the income tax appellate tribunal. So the auditor is conducting the audit of the client organization. Also, he is supporting the client organization in any litigation. Now, if a third party will look at the situation, though the auditor may be independent in his mind, that though I am supporting my client in the, let's say, the litigation, but I'll be independent while I'm giving the report. So independence of mind is there. But if a third party will see, he will be like that the auditor is, supporting the client in the litigations. How can he be independent? Right? So independence in appearance, that is, any such fact or circumstances which will lead a reasonable informed third party having knowledge of all the information and the safeguards applied, if it leads the third party to believe that the integrity, objectivity, professional skepticism of the auditor has been compromised, the auditor should try to do what? He should try to avoid such facts and circumstances. The auditor should avoid such facts and circumstances. So I hope this is clear. What example have I given you? Then let's take another example. Let's say the auditor is taking, the client organization has given auditor a international travel package, right? But in the mind, auditor is like, though I have availed this facility, but when I'm giving the opinion, I'll be independent. I'll apply my integrity, objectivity, and professional skepticism. Now, the third party who is aware about all the situation, who have all this information, will auditor appear to be independent? No, they will obviously presume that he is taking so expensive gifts, so much of the international travel tickets and bookings, everything from the client organization. How can he be independent? Right? So it should not appear to any reasonable informed third party that integrity, objectivity, and professional skepticism has been compromised. Is it clear? These two concepts are very, very important. And this line, which I have marked as important here. So what is mentioned here? Just a minute. So what I have mentioned, independence of auditor has not only to exist in fact, but also appear to so exist to all reasonable persons. So reasonable persons is basically means the person who is having the understanding relevant information with respect to the client and the auditor relationship, right? It should appear to be independent to that person also. So it is not only to exist in fact, but also to so exist to all reasonable person. So you can always get this line and you are asked to explain, right? Or even if you are giving any practical situation, that so and so auditor is accepting, let's say, travel gifts, international trips from the client organization, and though he's independent in his mind, so you can always add this line, right? That independence of auditor has not only to exist in fact, but also appear to so exist to all reasonable person, right? So first of all, the auditor himself should be satisfied that yes, I am independent. My state of mind is that I'll be able to give my opinion in an independent way. And secondly, no unbiased person should consider that there has been compromise with respect to integrity, objectivity, and the professional skepticism of the client. That is independence of mind and independence in appearance. Is it clear? Is it clear? Anyone, any doubt? Any doubt, anyone? Let me just have a look at the chat box. Anil, please specify your query. Yes, Kuldeep Nagar, you are correct. Divya is saying clear. Anil, I have given you example that independence of mind. Let's say I am having certain shares of my client organization. So in my mind, this thing will always be there that if I give such and such opinion, there will be an impact on the share price. My portfolio price is going to go down. So a pressure will always be there in my mind. So my state of mind is such that I am not in a position to, act with integrity, objectivity, and professional skepticism. Anil, is it clear? Kuldeep is saying clear, Shamli saying clear, Divya. Anil, tell me, is it clear? And with respect to appearance, I have given you example that the auditor is accepting certain, gifts in the form of international travel tickets and all from the client. Though in his mind, he is absolutely clear that I'm not going to, um, uh, I'm not going to have change my opinion because of the hospitality given by the client organization, though in his mind it is clear to him. But when the third party looks at the transaction, it appears that his objectivity, integrity, and professional skepticism are compromised. Anil is saying yes, ma'am, clear. Others also please reply. Anyone, any doubt? Clear? Anyone, any doubt? Are we good to go for with the next topic, which is threat to independence? Archana is saying yes. Chalo. So now threat to independence. So we have understood, students, that the auditor needs to be independent, right? Now, let's say I'll continue with the same example which I have used to explain the concept to, I think, Anil. So let's say I am the auditor of ABC Limited and I am having certain shares of that company. So my financial interest is there. My direct financial interest is there. So the concept is what? I should be independent. Now, is there a threat to this independence? Is there a threat? Is this fact that I am holding certain shares of this company, is this a threat? Yes, of course. So it becomes what? Self-interest threat. Let's say I have given certain loan or guarantee to the client organization. Okay? I've given certain loan, right? Now I have I have to give an opinion with respect to the financial statements of that same client. And I know that the financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view. But since I know that this kind of opinion is going to have an impact on, let's say, the decisions that the bankers will take with respect to this particular client, this becomes a threat to my independence. It becomes a threat to my independence, right? Let's take another example. Let's say I'm associated with the client for the last 12 years, right? As an auditor. Now, the relationship with the client is such that they can always say na, that, see, we are working together for the last 10, 12 years. Please don't give such kind of opinion, right? Consider our friendship, our relationship, right? So this again becomes what? A threat to independence, right? Or let's say the auditor tells me that if I'm the auditor of the client organization, that if you gives any adverse remark in the client in our audit report, we are going to reduce the fees. This is again a kind of threat to my independence. Why? Because certain circumstances are there which are not allowing me to act independently. Independently means what? My decision, my judgment is getting influenced by that situation or that client organization. So while discussing these topics, I've tried to give you one example each of the various kind of threat. But yes, we are going to discuss all the threats one by one. So what are these threats? Self-interest threats, self-review threats, advocacy threats, familiarity threats, and intimidation threats. Clear so far? Threats to independence, what is meant by that? I'll just have a look at your chat box and then we'll start with self-interest threat. Yes, Anil is saying, ma'am, who is going to take the action if there is any threat to independence? See, it is the duty of every professional accountant to see. Let's say I am going to conduct the audit of ABC Limited next year. Now, the duty lies on me to see whether I am independent in mind and in appearance. So let's say I have certain shares of XYZ Limited, and I know that from next year onwards, I have to conduct the audit of this XYZ Limited. What can I do? I will sell off the shares of the company before accepting the engagement. So the duty is with respect to the auditor, because it should be in the mind that I am independent. So you will see, having the shares becomes a threat. What are the safeguards? Sell off the shares before accepting the engagement. Clear? Is it clear? Whose doubt was it? Anil, is it clear? Let's say the client organization is giving me international tickets for international tour. So it is my duty to be independent in mind and to appear to be independent. So what can I do? This becomes a threat that they are giving me the expensive gifts or anything like that. So what is my duty? I'll not accept that. So the duty lies on the professional accountant. Anil, is it clear? So he's saying it is clear. Deepak, please clarify your query, like elaborate it. So the first thread that we are discussing is what? Self-interest threats. As the name suggests, self-interest threat. That is my interest, the interest of the auditor or the auditing firm or its partner or its associate. Okay? So if there is an interest of either the firm or the partner or any associate of the firm, what kind of interest? A benefit of financial interest. The example can be what? Direct financial interest or materially significant individual financial interest in the client. What does that mean? Let's say I'm holding the shares of the client organization. Second point, I've given a loan or guarantee to, or I have taken loan or guarantee from the client organization. So let's say I've taken a loan from the client organization. Now I have to give an opinion that the financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view. The client can always ask me to give back the loan. So my self financial interest is there. Now my opinion is not independent of the client organization. I'll do whatever the client will say. Why? Because otherwise they'll take the loan back, right? So my opinion, my judgment is subordinate to the wishes of the person who has engaged me. Okay. Next is what? Undue dependence on the client's fees. Let's say my fees, out of that, whatever is my total earning out of the audit fees, let's say 70% of that earning is coming from one client, right? So tell me, will there be a pressure in my mind while I'm giving an opinion? Because if I give an adverse opinion, the client might take back the work, and 70% on my total fees is dependent upon that client. Close business relation with the audit client. Let's say I'm conducting the audit of any company which is manufacturing, let's say, luxury cars, and I've ordered one car. Now, chances can be there some discount has been given to me, but if I give a opinion which is not as per the requirements of the client, that discount I may not get. And I'm saying that, let's say, some huge discount is there, right? Potential employment with the client. The client may say, next time I'll not give you this this work. Contingent fees for audit engagement. Let's say the client organization has said that if you give such kind of opinion, we'll reduce the fees. Your fees is contingent, dependent upon the outcome of the audit engagement. So in such situations, what is happening? There are threats to auditors' independence. So we are discussing first is what? Self-interest threat. So how can you get a question? Let's say you'll get a question that ABC is the client, is the company for which Mr. A has been appointed to conduct the audit, but he's holding share of, let's say, rupees 10. So any direct financial interest, even if it rupees 10, not allowed. Okay? So this is what? Self-interest threat. Undue dependence on client's fees, self-interest threat. Loan guarantee to from client, self-interest threat. Is it clear? And also, I hope it is clear how you are going to get the question. Okay. So this was with respect to self-interest threat. Quickly tell me, is it clear or not, so that I can proceed with self-reviewed threat now. Quickly. Students, you are good students. You are making the session interactive. Please, just for another half an hour, keep this session interactive as it has been from the very beginning. Yes. So Kuldeep has said that if the auditor, let's say the auditor has any loan from the client organization, he'll repay it. This is safeguard to independence. Threat is what? He is having a loan from the client organization, right? He'll repay it. Kuldeep, absolutely correct. Yes, ma'am, clear. Archana is saying. Others also please reply. So self-review threat, right? So let's say self-review threat. Let's say, take an example, you have written your audit paper and now I have asked you to check your own paper. Will you be in a position to give an independent checking? Quickly tell me. I've asked you to check your own paper or let's say your friend's paper. Will you be in a position to do an independent checking? Answer is no. Absolutely correct. Students have answered it correctly. Same way, let's say the client, the auditor has done certain non-audit service for the client. For example, the auditor has done accounting and bookkeeping for the client. Now tell me, will the auditor be in a position to give an opinion which is independent? Is it easy for a person to point out his or her own mistakes? Same way, so this was with respect to non-audit service. Or let's say uh, any of the director, any of the auditor, he was earlier the director or senior official of the client organization and he has signed the certain financial statements. So let's say Mr. A is there who was a director with XYZ Limited. Now he has left that company. Now he is the auditor of that company. Will he be in a position to give an independent opinion in that case? Answer is no, right? So self-review, as the name suggests, you are reviewing your own work, be it non-audit work, right? Or let's say where the auditor was previously was previously working as a director or was in a senior position of the client organization, right? So self-review threat occur when during review of any judgment or conclusion which is reached in any, just a minute, just a minute, in any previous audit or non-audit engagement. See, students, here I'd like to tell you one thing that, see, these are the notes that I have made based on my understanding. So these short forms I understand. If you get confused, and in fact, it is always advisable, make your own notes. Highlight the way you want, try to make your own notes. Do not try to, cram these shortcuts. These I have written, so this is previous. Since I have made it, I know that this is meant by this PR means previous. So don't get confused. Don't start just copying my notes. Try to make your notes. You can always use these notes, but yes, smartly. You can use these notes with open mind and open eyes, right? So it basically says that the self-review threat occur when during a review of any judgment or conclusion which is read in previous audit or non-audit engagement, or when the audit team member was previously a director, senior employee of the client. So again, this is what employee. ठीक है? So what can be various example of non-audit service? It can be management service, internal audit, investment advisory, right? So these are the two examples that are also given. Threat will be there when an auditor, having recently been a director or senior officer of the company, now he becomes what? The auditor of that company. Earlier, he was the director or senior position in that client organization. Or when the auditor performs these services that are themselves subject to matters of audit. So let's say the auditor is doing what? Bookkeeping and accounting. So that is why in the Companies Act, you will see that there are certain sections which prohibits the auditor of a client organization to, engage in account keeping, internal audit and all these services. So that you must have studied in your law, right? So tell me, is the second threat, which is self-review threat, clear to everyone? Then the third threat, which is advocacy threat. Quickly tell me what is meant by the term advocacy. Any doubt, anyone? See, Divya, there are strict rules, regulations with respect to listed companies where the money of public is involved, right? So the thing that you are saying, it must be a small company. Divya, is it clear? So Balam is saying advocacy means to support or promote, correct? Kuldeep is saying to promote someone. Anyone else? So it is absolutely correct. Advocacy means, see, let's say the way I gave you the example, let's say you are the auditor of XYZ Limited, right? You are conducting the audit of the financial statements of that company and you are going to give your opinion, right? Also, you are acting as an advocate for the client organization in any of the litigation with, let's say, the income tax appellate tribunal. You are doing that also. So, will there be independence in of appearance? Answer is no. Maybe you are independent in mind, but we have seen that there should be independence of mind as well as independence in appearance. In this case, independence in appearance is not there, right? So, advocacy, let's say, so when we have discussed self-interest threat, I gave you an example that the auditor is having the shares of the company, right? In advocacy threat, this example will get changed slightly. Let's say you are dealing in the shares of the client organization. You are promoting you are, telling people to buy the shares of your client organization. So you are promoting that company, or you're representing your client before the income tax appellate tribunal or before any forum. So this is what you are promoting your client organization, and thereby independence of appearance is not met. Right? Why? Because people will think that on one hand you are supporting the client organization. How can your opinion be independent in such a case? Okay. So this was all about your advocacy threat. I hope it is clear. The fourth one is what? Familiarity threat. As the name suggests, that let's say you are conducting the audit of the client organization from the last 15 years. Though this is not practically possible. Why? Because section 139 says that there is a concept of rotation of auditors. Quickly tell me, have you all studied about rotation of auditor, section 139 in your law subject? Quickly tell me. So students are saying yes. So that's good. Adil, Balam, Anil, everyone is saying yes. Okay. So as I've told you that, let's say you're conducting the audit of a client organization from the last 12 years. So chances are there that you get influenced by what the client is saying. They can always tell, see, we have a long relationship. Please do not give such an opinion. Please modify your opinion. So what is the provision? There is a provision in Companies Act with respect to that. That is rotation of auditors. That is a cooling period of 5 years is required, if you all remember. An individual proprietorship firm can be appointed for a term of 5 years. Partnership firm can be appointed for 2 consecutive terms of 5 years. But there need to be a cooling period of 5 years. That is, there need to be a break of 5 years between the two terms, right? So familiarity threat is what? You become too sympathetic to the client's interest, right? Or let's say CA is conducting the audit of XYZ Limited, and in XYZ Limited, Mrs. A is the director. So there is what? Close relative of the audit team in the senior position in the client organization. Okay? Same way, let's say you are the audit team. Okay? So any former partner of the audit firm is now a director or senior employee of the client organization. See, in self-review threat, we have discussed just opposite case, that you were the director of the company, now you have become the auditor and you are reviewing your own work. In familiarity threat, it says what? That earlier you were the partner of the firm and now you are the director of that company. So it becomes what? Familiarity threat, right? Why? Because earlier you were the partner of the company. Let's say the name of the firm is ABC and Associates, the partners. So CAA is there, CAB is there, CAC is there. Okay? Now CAA has left that firm and he has joined XYZ company as a director. And now CAB conducts the audit. So there is familiarity of CAA and CAB. Why? Because CAA, who was earlier the partner of this company, has now become director of of this client organization, right? And what else can be example of familiarity thread? So acceptance of significant gifts. If you remember, I gave you example of international trips. Just a minute. Significant gifts, hospitality from client or directors, right? And long association between specific auditors. So what is the solution? Just go by rotation of auditors as given in the Companies Act 2013. Is it clear? So we have done self-interest thread, self-review thread, advocacy thread, and familiarity thread. And we are doing the last thread, which is what? Intimidation thread. Quickly tell me what is meant by the term intimidation. Quickly tell me. Intimidation, frightening, putting pressure. Kuldeep, Balam, KR, what else? Absolutely correct. So, intimidation means that the basically the auditor is discouraged from acting objectively. So whenever the auditor is asking any question, whenever he is applying any professional skepticism, he is been given a threat of replacement, or he has been given a threat that your work will be reduced, will reduce, or we will reduce your audit fees, or we will, file a case against you. So intimidation, darana dhamkana. So when the auditor is been deterred is what? Discouraged. So it occurs when the auditor is deterred from acting objectively with an adequate degree of professional skepticism. So I told you, whenever professional skepticism comes, just keep this in mind. So whenever auditor is asking any question, let's say he's saying to the auditor, he's saying to the client organization that why have you entered into an agreement with this particular party? Is this your related party? So whenever the auditor is asking any question, he is applying his professional skepticism. He has been deterred, he's been discouraged from doing that. How? Let's say he's asking any question and the client says, you just don't consider that, just give a report, otherwise I'll reduce the fees, otherwise I'll reduce your work, right? So this is what? Intimidation threat. Okay, is it clear? Intimidation. So the 5 kinds of threat that we have studied today is what? Let us just have a look quickly. Sorry, just a minute. So we have seen independence of mind, independence in the parents, and self-interest threat, self-review threat, advocacy threat, familiarity threat, and intimidation threat. Quickly tell me, is it clear? Is this topic clear? And I'll do one thing. We'll just quickly have a look at 3 MCQs with respect to this topic, and then we'll proceed with safeguards to independence. First of all, I want reply from all of you whether the topic is clear so far. See, students, I'm trying to, make you understand, also to make your learning easy. So I hope that this motive is achieved. Please let me know. Divya is saying it is clear. Shamni is saying clear. Bala is saying clear. Others also please reply. Are you able to learn also? So your queries. So Deepak is saying yes, Divya is saying yes, Adil is saying yes, Pooja is saying yes. Quickly tell me, learning is also something which is done? Yes on learning. Yes, I need your answers like this. Bala is saying yes on learning. Others also please reply. quickly, and then I'll be sharing with you the MCQs. And I want all of you to please reply with correct answers. Just a minute. So Anil has asked a very good question, which though I'll not take in detail because it is not related to this. So he's saying that what if the auditor who got appointed through rotation gets to know that the predecessor auditor has worked with some thread? Can the new auditor report the same? See, there is a duty on the incoming auditor, the new auditor who is getting appointed, to discuss with the predecessor auditor, the auditor who was conducting the audit earlier, his reasons of resignation or removal, right? And then based on his professional judgment, the new incoming auditor will proceed further, right? So yes, there is a duty on the incoming auditor to discuss the matter why the predecessor auditors have, resigned or they have been removed, right? And obviously, if the auditor feels that there was certain major fraud, I should not accept this engagement. Professionally, he has discussed with the predecessor auditor, he'll not accept the engagement. Right, Anil? Is it clear? So what I'm supposed to do, I'll be sharing the just a minute. So I hope this screen is visible to you. Just go through the first question, and I need all of you, I really want all of you to please reply. A CA in practice is auditing a company where his sister holds a position of CFO of the company. What type of threat arises? Is it self-review threat, familiarity threat, advocacy threat, or intimidation threat? Quickly tell me. So I can see students have answered correctly. Adil correct, Shamli correct, Deepak, Pooja, Divya, Kuldeep, Bala absolutely correct. So see, it says that a CA in practice is auditing a company where his sister holds a position of CFO of the company. What type of threat arises? So see, where have we studied this point that if any close relative is in a senior position, we have studied it in familiarity threat. This is not self-review threat because auditor is not reviewing his own work or work which has been done by any senior personnel. And now he has become the auditor, so this is not the case. Advocacy threat is what you are promoting the client organization interest. Intimidation threat is what you are being deterred from acting objectively. Familiarity threat is what, yes, when there is a close relative at the senior position. This is one of the examples of familiarity threat. So the answer is B. Okay. Now just read the third question and just give your answer 3 and the correct answer. A CA in practice audits a firm where he is also a loan guarantor for the company's MD. Which threat arises? It is advocacy threat, or is it familiarity threat, self-interest threat, or self-review threat? So again, I like to tell you that the MCQs, if you are not able to arrive at the correct answer in first go, try to, delete the answers that you feel are absolutely not correct. Then it becomes easier to choose the correct answer. So it says that, I'm repeating the third question, a CA in practice audits a firm where he is also a loan guarantor for the company's MD. Which threat arises? So he has given a guarantee for the company's MD. So what is it? His self-interest is been hampered, is been involved. So it is self-interest threat. So advocacy threat, it is not there because he is not promoting the client organization. Familiarity threat, it is not there. Self-review, it is not there. Answer is what? C. So let me just have a look at the answers that you have given. So Deepak correct, Deepika correct, Pooja, Divya, Adil, Bala, Shamli correct. Whose name I haven't taken, please check your answers. One incorrect answer is there. ठीक है? I hope it is clear. Now the last question relating to this. So just a minute. So read this fifth question. An auditor is asked to attend marketing conferences and promote the client's new product. This creates A, advocacy threat, B, self-review threat, C, familiarity threat, and D is intimidation threat. Quickly send in your replies. So fifth ka I can see that Kuldeep correct, Shamli correct, Pooja correct, Adil, Deepak, Divya, Anil, Deepika absolutely correct. So I'll repeat the question. It says that an auditor is asked to attend marketing conferences and promote the client's new product. This creates what? Is it advocacy threat? Yes, the answer is yes. Why? Because advocacy means you are promoting the client organization. And student, I'm repeating it again here that when you're promoting the client's share, you are dealing in the client share, it is advocacy threat. But when you are having the client shares, it is what? Self-interest threat. Okay? Then is it a self-review threat? No. Is it a familiarity threat? No. Is it an intimidation threat? No. Is it clear? Let us just have a look at the questions from your module also relating to this, and then we will quickly wind up the session. So this is on page number. Just a minute. Just give me a moment. Just read the question number. Test your understanding 4, which is given on page number 11.14. I'll do one thing. I'll just share the file again. Just give me a second. Test your understanding 4 on page number 11.14. It says that a chartered accountant receives about 40% of his total audit fees from a single client. Discuss how it could affect the independence of chartered accountant as auditor of this client. What are such type of threats referred to as? So we'll do one thing. We'll discuss only this question, and test your understanding 5 is your homework. Okay, and in fact test your understanding 3 and 5 are your homework. We'll discuss test your understanding 4 in the class. Okay, so a chartered accountant is receiving 40% of his total audit fees from a single client. Discuss how it could affect the independence of chartered accountant as auditor of this client. What kind of threat is this? See, I am the client of this, I am the auditor of this client organization, and my 40% of the fees is dependent upon this client, right? Now, let's say there is some fraud in the client organization and I want to report it in my audit report. I want to give an opinion that the financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view. That is an adverse opinion. Now, there will be a pressure in my mind that if I give an adverse opinion, it is possible that next time this client will not give me the audit work and my 40% fees will be gone. So what kind of interest, sorry, I'm given the answer, but what kind of threat is this? So let me just have a look at the chat box quickly. Divya correct, Bala correct, Adil correct, Pooja, Deepak, Shamli, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And let me see Archana's yes, it is what? Self-interest threat. Why? Because my 40% of the fees is dependent upon this client. Now, how you are required to give the answers. So let us just have a look at the answer that is given in your module. And students, the answers to test your understanding is given at the last. Okay? So undue dependence, page number 11.43. Undue dependence on fees of a client constitutes a threat as there is a fear of losing the client. Such threats are referred to as self-interest threats. Is it clear? Is it clear? So I'm repeating again that your test your understanding 3 and 5 are your homework. Now, students, let me just have a look at your queries and then just 2 minutes and then we can end for the day. See, students, now we have covered till page number, let me just tell you, page number 11.11. Okay? So now only 15 minutes or 20 minutes it is going to take you to read all the words in between the lines, everything from the module, 11 pages. That's it. Immediately after the first reading, you should go through the module and just highlight the keywords or start making a summary. And believe me, maximum 25 or 30 minutes if you do it today itself or maximum by tomorrow. Or I can say that before coming for the next session, which is scheduled for Friday. That means a total of 30 plus 15, 45 minutes. And believe me, your 11 pages will be prepared. But yes, if you do not give it a read or you do not, go through the module as I've told you before coming for the next class, yes, later on it is going to take much time. And since we have discussed and during our discussions, we have used the keywords only. I'm sure that if you go through the module twice, once or twice, once is definitely required in detail and second can be, while highlighting the keywords or making summaries. I'm sure your learning of keywords is going to be very, very easy. Okay? So I'll summarize today's session. We have started with discussing the meaning of ethics, why we are studying this ethics, why there is a need of professional ethics in chartered accountancy profession. Then we have studied the fundamental principles, whereby we have studied about integrity, objectivity, professional competence, due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. Then we started our discussion with respect to independence, whereby we have studied that it should be independence of mind and in appearance. And then we have studied 5 threats, that is self-interest threat, self-review threat, advocacy, familiarity threat, and your intimidation threat. Okay? Any doubt, anyone, you can always send me. We will be having the next lecture on Friday. Before that, it is my request to all of you that you all should have gone through the module at least once. And if you have time, please go do it twice. And in fact, you should do it twice and try to, highlight the keywords, right? So thank you, students, for being patient listener. And thank you for making this session very interactive. See you on Friday for the next session of this chapter. Thank you. Yes, it's done. Okay. Thank you. Bye.